Boker Tov, we are in the second Pasuk of Perek Yudalid. Holech beyoshro yireh Hashem. A person that goes in his straight way is God-fearing. Unloz derachav, but one who strays away from the path, bozehu, is like embarrassing Hashem, is like not caring for Hashem. So going in your way is God-fearing. So here the Gaon of Vilna says an important lesson for each person in their own life is that he says that a person needs to go in his path in Torah. Meaning every person is different, every person has different midot. Midot are measurements. And midot are character traits. But the character traits are also like measurements. Meaning this person gets angry, easily. This person is not that much of a jealous person. This person is a generous person. This person is a cheap. Everyone has different levels in these midot. This person is humble. This person is not so humble. This person. So everyone's got their midot, their measurements. Now, based on that, there's certain averot that a person is easier to guard himself from, and certain averot that are harder for him to guard himself from. Each person, based on their midot, based on the situation, this thing is easier for them, that thing's harder for them. And therefore, a person can't judge someone else and say, oh, why are you, doing that, or why are you doing this? Well, for me, this might be difficult, and for you, it might be more easier. The person, this guy, it's easier for him to, talk Lashon Hara. This person, it's easy for him to close his mouth and to be quiet, this and that. Everyone's their midot, just as one example. And therefore, a person should go in his way, meaning in the way that he knows, maybe through his rabbis, through his good friends, that he could better himself, even though for some people they might look at it and be like, wow, that's not really the correct way. Why is this person doing that? Now, all of course within the confines of halakha, but to do a path that will help you become better. I teach at a yeshiva boys that are a little bit outside of the box. So, let's say a kid smokes in high school. So people might look at it, it's like, what? He's underage, he's smoking, whatever. But, maybe as the rabbis, we know, what? Smoking is not the worst thing for this kid. He was worse before. Let him, progress. He was doing worse things. So what could look bad from one angle, from other people, might be, well, look, he used to do all this bad stuff. Now he's just smoking. So everyone within the confines of halakha, of course, but to work on themselves to be in holech beyosher shelo, on his straight path to better himself. And in that way, he becomes a Yireh Shamayim, meaning he wants to try with his midot, with his situation, to become a better person. But if a person is looking at other people, and he has midot like this, midot like that, but he tries to mimic other people and go in their good way so that he'll look good in their eyes, even though for himself it might be bad for him, and he doesn't work on his own midot to try bettering himself, but he does what other people are doing, so that in the eyes of others he'll be looked at as okay. Then he wants to do hayashar ben habriot. He wants to do what's straight in the eyes of people, and he doesn't have yirat Hashem. He has yirat basar vadam. He has fear of man. And therefore, for his own midot and his own self, he's not working on. He's not looking into, I really need to work on my cause. But I don't care. Look at the people around me; they're all acting like this. I'm going to act with them. Or I'm easy to speak Lashon Hara. I'm not going to really work on that because I'm going to do what the people around me is. It's good in the people's eyes around me, as opposed to really what I need for myself. What's my best path? And this gets to in the school system as well. An example came up sometimes, really this school is really the best for your kid. But the parents would be like, well, no, that school doesn't have a good name. It doesn't have, but it's the best for your kid in the situation that your kid is, and the difficulties that your kids have. But the parents, no, we want this. So in the eyes of the people, oh, my kid's in that school, right? But that might not be the best for him. The business might be, so it's just one example where we might be looking at what's, the outer what people want, but really what's the best for the person. And that's what's going on over here, that if we go on our own path, then it is actually like embarrassing. So we're going on our own path in the way of Yirat Shamayim, look at our own midot, that's Yirat Shamayim. If we go on our own path, looking at what is good in the eyes of people, that is the opposite. So end with the last pasuk, a small pasuk. Befi evil choter ga'ava, in the mouth of a fool is a staff of ga'ava, a staff like a walking stick or a staff, a hitting stick. A fool thinks he knows it all. He's a fool. So he feels that he has ga'ava, but the ga'ava is really, there's nothing there. V'siftei chachamim tishmurem. And the lips of the chachamim guard the chacham. Meaning, the fool is a fool. So he'll say things and he'll do things that he thinks is right, but it's really foolish. Now, if a person can't control himself, he could tell him back, oh, what are you doing? You're like a fool, whatever. This guy might have a staff, he might hit him, he might do something to him, he might curse him, he might this. The lips of a chacham, he knows when to keep quiet. He knows, okay, this guy's a fool. I'm not going to answer him. Why should I answer him back? I'm going to look like a fool also. Arguing with a fool, you're like a fool too. So the chacham knows when to keep his mouth quiet, and he knows when to open his mouth, and he knows when to act so that he doesn't get hit by this fool. And he's guarded because he's a chacham, because he's wise, because he learned how to control his mouth. And that's that for today. To always try being in the derech of the chachamim b'ezrat Hashem. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen. Ve'amen Rabbi Chananya ben HaKashya omer etzah HaKadosh Baruch Hu lezakot et Yisrael leficha chiyuv la'hem Torah u'muso shene'emar Avraham chafetz man tzidko yagdil Torah ve'yadir.